Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we're reviewing episode 3 of the Percy Jackson Disney Plus TV show and oh my god, it was wild. I am traveling through New Zealand with my family while we're all living in a van, so the quality of this video is gonna drop a little bit. This quality will return for the second half of the season once I'm back in Spain and able to film in my actual room with a tripod and with a ring light, but for now enjoy my review of episode 3 of the Percy Jackson Disney Plus TV show. I'm predicting it was a wild one.
So episode 3, we finally start with the prophecy, the big prophecy telling us what Percy and his friends are going to be doing all throughout the rest of the season. So we start in the big house in the attic. We get to see some trophies that we guess are from some other quest, but it's super dark so we can't tell a lot. And then we finally get to see her, the mummy that gives out prophecies, aka the Oracle. And what I was not expecting was for green smoke to fill up the screen and to transform into ugly, smelly Gabe, and for him to be the one to dole out the prophecy. Raise your hand if that was on your bingo card for this show, because I'm pretty sure no one could have seen that coming. As far as changes go, that was pretty small, but it just impacted me in such a big way, because why would you choose to do that? It's like such a fun choice, such a funny choice, because I don't understand it at all. I don't think it fit the scene that well, because are we supposed to be scared? Are we supposed to laugh at it? I don't know. It was really like emotionally jarring. Let me know if you like that and let me know why, because I don't think that really clicked with me. But we get the first half of the prophecy, just the first half, which is important because later on we get the second half and that like derails everything. So after getting the prophecy, we get to this scene which we saw glimpses of in the previous trailers, and it's some campers standing around and Chiron announces that he picked the best of the best so that Percy then could pick out his 2 questing partners. He himself could pick them out. Now, in my other review for the first 2 episodes, I said that I was looking forward to this episode starting by Annabeth proclaiming that she was going to go on that quest. As we know, in the books, Annabeth herself is like, I'm going on this quest, please let me go. And Grover is like, dude, I'm going with you. I need to do this for you because I'm your protector, but I also need to redeem myself because reasons that we don't know as of yet. However, here it's all Percy's decision. It doesn't seem like that big of a change, but honestly, tone-wise, I think it does. It changes a lot of the character dynamics. I also think that besides giving Percy a lot more to deal with, it gives Annabeth less agency in this case. She has a lot of agency added on later on, and it gives Grover the feel that he has less to prove. Like, he's not dying to go on the quest with Percy as he is in the books. He's instead being punished because he spoke up when Mr. D didn't want him to. So at least, I did say I wasn't scared of Mr. D in the previous review. However, at least there are some punishments when he gets offended, which in this case is shoveling horse manure, or shall I say Pegasus manure, which they could afford 3 of. So way to go, special effects team. However, even though I did not really dig the fact that it was Percy choosing his quest partners, I did really like his reasoning, and it made us see that Percy isn't only a cute face, he's also pretty smart when it comes to things like this, because obviously he knows the second half of the prophecy, so he chose someone who he knew would never betray him, and then he chose Annabeth, not because she was good in a quest or because she really wanted to go on a quest, but because he could never even imagine him becoming friends with Annabeth. A friend would not betray him because Annabeth would never be his friend, which is mentioned later on, and it's brutal. Poor Annabeth, oh my god. I also liked his reasoning for not bringing Luke with him, and that he did mention to Luke, like, dude, I was thinking about you, bro, but I know that you would side with Annabeth if worse came to worse, and I didn't dig that. It's a good idea. I don't know if Luke would have gone on the quest if he had asked him. I don't think so, because he had other things to do at camp. So when our main trio is preparing to go on the quest, Annabeth is like saying goodbye to Talia. And I know it's been confirmed as Thalia, but no, I'm sorry. I read it in Spanish for the first time and it's Talia, so that's the thing. Like, when you first read it, you read it with a certain pronunciation in your mind and then you're corrected, but it doesn't sound quite right because you've already read like 100 books with that pronunciation. So for me, it's Talia. I'm sorry if it's not canon, but it's the way that I choose to live my life. So she's saying goodbye to Talia's tree, and Percy's like, she really likes that tree a lot, huh? Because literally they're just leaving on a quest, and this girl's saying goodbye to a random tree. And this is when we get the first tad bit of Talia's backstory, and that Grover knows about it. We don't yet know that Grover was the satyr that got them back to camp, but we know more of this story. And then Annabeth's like, oh, she got a hero's fate. And then Percy has the nerve to say, and I quote, she got a pine cone's fate. However brutal, that was a very Percy response, so way to go, way to go. This episode did make me laugh a lot. Like, there were a lot of one-liners and jokes that I really enjoyed, I think from all three characters, so I'm quite happy on that front. The light is changing so fast, I'm gonna get a move on. We do get Annabeth's backstory being changed, and at first I freaked out because I was like, then they're not gonna have the Cyclops thing, and how are they gonna do season 2? Because the big thing about Annabeth in season 2 is that she doesn't trust Tyson. She doesn't trust Cyclopses. For a very good reason, because they made them late, and that's the reason indirectly why Talia died later on the hill. But no, I feel like even though they changed the monsters to specifically make them Furies, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a Cyclops before the Furies that made them late. At the same time, I just realized they may have added the Furies in order to make Percy distrust Annabeth with that thing later on, with Annabeth getting a deal with one of the Furies and whatever, but also to show that Talia was also a big deal when she was born, and when she was like, when people knew that she was Zeus's illegal baby. So I think that's why they did that. Still a little bit weird, but I'm okay with it. I loved every single bit of the bickering between our three protagonists, like Grover playing peacemaker, Annabeth being like the know-it-all, that self-appointed leader, and at the same time Percy being like, why does she think she's the leader? And Grover's like, who do you think should be the leader? And Percy's like, shouldn't we like vote on it or something? This boy wants a democracy, and Annabeth is like walking straight into a dictatorship where she obviously is the leader of it all. Honestly, I would be okay with that. Percy's really cute. He's like, guys, we should all like vote on it. Grover obviously is the one who's trying to get like harmony between the two of them, but Percy still wants like everyone to vote. He does not want to be the leader. He just wants there to be like good vibes, and Annabeth is not here for it. So after that, they take a taxi into New York, and from New York they take a bus into New Jersey. Well, obviously they weren't going to New Jersey, but then something happens with the bus, as we all know. It doesn't explode. It does not explode like in the books. Instead, they're on the bus, and then they start telling us a bit about why monsters are able to find half-bloods, not just because of the smell, but because of like fear, certain characteristics, blah blah blah. It gives it like more of an in-depth feel to it, because you know, just smelling them because of the smell or their power, it was kind of one-dimensional. So I think they kind of expanded on that, and I'm okay with that. You know, I actually really liked it. And then there's like a bit of conflict again between Annabeth and Percy when they're deciding who gets to go down to like buy some snacks. And Annabeth's like, I'm going, I'll get you chips and sodas. And Percy's like, okay, I'll go down too. And she's like, no, you stay here. And Percy's like, why can't I go down and enjoy the fresh air? Like, should we do a show of hands? Should we vote to see how we vote in this trio? And I was like, just not having it. And Grover, who's just there trying to vibe with his friends and being like, I want everyone to be happy. He just starts singing a song for them to get along, and I really wish it was one from the musical, but it was just as good, because just a character breaking into song. I always wanted a musical episode. I lied, I didn't always want one, but ever since Lin-Manuel Miranda was signed for the show, I wanted a musical episode for Percy Jackson. So I was like, this is my moment. This is my moment. So Annabeth leaves to get some candies, and I've seen a theory that says, around Twitter, I've seen that people are saying that she's just like chips and soda, and then she spends a long time like picking and choosing and getting all types of different snacks. And I've seen that people are saying that she was choosing all those snacks because she wants the boys, Percy specifically, to like her, because she knows she doesn't like have such a good first impression, and that she can be a little like standoffish, but she kind of wants to be like on their good side. So I thought that was kind of cute. And Annabeth does have like a nurturing side, like when she fixes Percy's strap and like his armor in Capture the Flag. So I think that's a really cute detail that it's really easy to miss. And then she senses there's some Furies there, so she goes back. She puts her cap on right when she gets onto the bus, and she starts talking to the Fury like, like it's nobody's business. Business. Like, I thought that was kind of weird, and this is one of my main issues with this episode. I loved it, don't get me wrong, but I can nitpick at it, okay? I can do whatever I want. So that was one of my main issues. The fact that they don't seem that afraid of the monsters, and that doesn't make us afraid of the monsters. Like, visually, they're not that scary, and every action scene, it has a lot of build-up, but then it's over in like 5 seconds. And with that Fury, specifically Mrs. Dodd, she just walks towards Percy. We've never seen her do anything evil. We've seen Percy kill people now. We've seen him kill a couple of monsters. However, we have not seen Mrs. Dodds harm a hair on anyone's head, so she doesn't seem that big of a bit bad to me. She walks like very well, she has a great catwalk, but at the same time, if Percy could accidentally kill her just by clicking a pen, then, I'm not shaking in my boots, not even wearing any boots. So anyone who's read the books knows that Annabeth was in no way going to make a deal with a monster, let alone a Fury who's responsible for her best friend's death. However, they just threw that in there to just cause some chaos later on in the future and for fans who haven't read the book. So after that, the Fury starts walking at them. Annabeth is like, okay guys, let's do this. And they do that. They break a window and they leave, and Annabeth just kills one of the Furies with her knife. And I believe that's the first time we see the knife being used. We get like a really nice close-up of it. Then they jump on the window and they just appear in the woods in New Jersey. And there's a really funny joke of Percy being like, I didn't even know New Jersey had a forest. And I don't know if that's a callback to the musical I Don't Want to Die in the Garden State. I definitely loved it. After that, we get conflict. We get Annabeth asking Percy, what are you afraid of? Because they're having like a lot of conflict, and Grover just like you guys stop fighting. And I loved every single bit of it. Like, the trio's interactions are definitely the highlight of the show. Like, nothing caps that. So afterwards, Grover, in order to shut them up, he's like, I smell hamburgers. And they walk up to Annie M's Gnome Emporium. Annabeth knows right away because there's monster statues there. She's like, statues? It smells like it's from our world. And Auntie M's, it's Medusa. So she knows from the beginning, and they're like, obviously, the scene changes wildly from what it was in the books. It's one of those cases where I don't mind because the scene, it's not one of the most iconic ones in the book, and it doesn't really show that much of their characters until the very end, and they kept the end. So I'm cool with them having changed it. I actually, maybe in my predictions, I said that they were probably going to change Medusa's storyline and make it more like victim friendly, because there's a lot of versions of Medusa, and a lot of versions are like, oh, Medusa is a straight up monster, always no redeeming qualities, it was all her fault, blah blah blah. But Medusa does have some good points. She's a victim in the story. She didn't do anything wrong. It was Poseidon who did something wrong. And she does raise that point there. So once again, we see the Fury being like, oh, I can't look at Medusa, so I'm just gonna stand here paralyzed and not even look threatening. So the kids go inside because Percy goes inside. He has like a soft spot for women. Maybe he saw a bit of his mother in Medusa because Sally told him stories of Medusa and always making her out to be not the monster in the story. So all throughout this episode and the scenes with Medusa, we see that Percy really has like a huge heart, and he's a huge mama's boy, which obviously I love to see any time of the day, any day of the week, any week of the year. There's a bit more conflict here because Annabeth's like, dude, I'm a daughter of Athena. There might be a little conflict of interest here. And she's like, and until Percy is gone with Medusa by himself, and Medusa's like, well, I can kill your friends for you if you want. Percy's like, I'm just gonna skedaddle. And the next time she looks over, he's gone. Like, the boy was feeling sorry for you because you both have something in common, is that you both hate bullies. But at the same time, Medusa's a bit of a bully herself. So Percy just gets out of there as fast as his little legs can carry him. And then they go to a basement filled with statues. Obviously, it's not on the outside, but I feel like that's because she was trying to come off as the good guy just having monster statues. So that makes sense for them to be hitting and then be like, okay, she also kills mortals, so she might be a little bit bad. And then Percy's very cute, like they're all closing their eyes. It must have been like a joint effort between him and Annabeth. They worked together for the first time. So Grover flies away because he said Maya too early. And then he jumps on Medusa accidentally, maybe? On purpose, probably. And then Annabeth puts her cap on Medusa, making her invisible. So technically, I'm guessing her gaze can't turn anyone into stone. And then Percy cuts off her head, which leads us to the first debacle. Percy's like, okay, we're just gonna leave the head with the hat on. And Annabeth, clearly hurt by this because she loves her cap, is like, okay, so she was willing to sacrifice that. However, Grover steps in and he's like, okay, this shit has to stop. Like, get your shit together, guys. We can't be living like this. We're on a quest. So he's like, tell us what you're scared of. Because Annabeth was right. You're scared of something. And he's like, okay, so the prophecy is that one of you guys would betray me. But I didn't think it was Grover. That's why I chose Annabeth, because I didn't think she would ever be my friend. And Annabeth is like so clearly hurt by that. You're gonna fall in love in like 3 years. Percy is going to willingly fall into Tartarus with Annabeth in a couple of years. And right now he's like, I never thought that I could be her friend. Things change. Having them fight together and then understand each other's points of views, because Percy finally sees that Grover was the one who was with Annabeth, because he was like, he was my protector first. I really like that because I don't think they mentioned that a lot in the books. So I really like that addition. And of course, at the end of that, they're like more or less all on the same page. And Percy's like, okay, I'm gonna start singing the Get Along song. And that was a great end. I didn't think that was gonna happen, but it did. And I loved it. At the very end, we get a scene where Percy has shipped the Medusa's head to Olympus. And we get Hermes, messenger of the gods, Lin-Manuel Miranda, travel all the way up to the 600th floor of the Empire State and hand deliver the head of Medusa to the gods. And he literally says, you guys are not going to believe this. You're a god. Why don't you teleport to Olympus? That's my question. I don't understand. He's like, you guys are not going to believe this. I'm sorry. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I love his work. I just can't take him seriously as Hermes. I wish I could, and I think I will in the future, but for now, his face is just too funny to me. I say this as a complete Hamilton fan. Something that I have to clear up is that I did watch the preview for episode 2. I just completely forgot about having watched it immediately after having watched it. I was tired, and I'm leaving the van live, so it like went in one ear, went out the other. So yes, I watched it, and yes, I watched the second one, and it had Grover and Annabeth splashing Percy, so I'm really looking forward to that one and seeing how it's gonna play out. I know it's gonna definitely change some things, like maybe the Chimera shows up on the train and on the Ark. I don't know. Clearly, a lot of things are being changed in a way that's still faithful to the books. For me, in my mind, I'm telling myself this is like not a retelling, but very closely. If Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, if that universe is universe 1.0, this one is like 1.2. It's like not an exact mirror replica. It's a little bit warped, but it's still like it stays true to the original work. It's just like a little bit different. It's like the same image, but being drawn by a different artist in like a similar style, but obviously not two artists draw the same. So that's what I'm telling myself. Predictions, now that they're on better terms, I think Annabeth is going to finally call Percy Seaweed Brain. Maybe when he falls into the river and he's covered in water, like, what are you doing, Seaweed Brain? Something like that. Or maybe he will call her Wise Girl. I'm really looking forward to that. There's some things that are not going to be included just because they don't work well or because there's no time. But I think the nicknames definitely have to be included, especially because they're such an important thing. Like, they're so prevalent in the books and in the fandom that they definitely have to show up sometime. It's just Seaweed Brain or Wise Girl, so it's not hard to do. One of my last thoughts is that the action scenes, they are all build up and almost no resolution, and it's over too quickly. And we're not scared of the monsters. It's extremely family friendly so far. I just think that this direction is not, like, they're not the best at doing action so far. And also, there's like weird cuts. Like, it feels like they have cuts for commercial breaks, like where the screen just goes black and the scene changes. That's just me being nitpicky. I don't mind it. It's just something that me and my brother noticed. So those are my thoughts so far. I really laughed all throughout this episode. And obviously I had a smile on my face all the way throughout it because it's still Percy Jackson, even though it's different. I do wish that we get like more of a, not a cheery, but more of a like a fun Percy in the future. He's being very serious right now. It makes sense, but now that they're all friends, I hope that we can get like more of a fun vibe going on and Percy being a little bit more lighthearted. Given the circumstances, I understand why he isn't. But at the same time, we don't have his inner monologue, so we need him to be a little bit more like, I don't know. He seems a little bit toned down to me for now. I think that's everything. So I think once the show is over, I'm going to binge watch all 8 episodes because watching it like this, to review it and in a van, it's not the best viewing experience. So once they're all out, I'm definitely gonna sit down for like a couple of hours with some popcorn, maybe some blue food, watch all 8 episodes, and then do one final review for this thing. So, peace.
Oh my god, episode 3 was incredible. Or, alternatively, because I haven't watched it already, oh my god, episode 3 was kind of meh. Or worse still, episode 3, oh my god, it's just going downhill from here. I hope it's the first reaction, okay? I always hope for the first reaction. Having said that, oh my god, what a crazy episode. The trio finally leave for the quest and they meet Medusa, and oh my god, that Medusa scene totally blows the original Medusa scene from the movie out of the water, right? Am I right, people? I know that without even watching the show because it's really not that hard to do. Woof, what do you think is gonna happen in episode 4? Do you think I was right in my predictions video? Watch that video and then rewatch my 2 videos that I already have reviewing the show, and please let me know down in those comments how wrong I was about what was gonna happen in each episode, because Lord knows that Rick Riordan loves throwing curveballs at us. Episode 4, we're finally getting it. We're getting the tunnel of love. So please leave a like if you like this video. Comment down below your favorite part of this episode, and please let me know what you're most looking forward to from episode 4, because Lord knows Percabeth shippers, because it is Percabeth, not Percabeth. We're gonna go crazy in that episode, so please let me know what you're most looking forward to. Subscribe if you haven't already and click that bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. I post videos just like this every single Friday, usually, and I guess I'll see you guys next time reviewing episode 4 if I'm lucky. Bye!